Welcome to this week's edition of Off the Mat. We're going to talk about UFC 138. We're going to give a tribute to a fallen soldier in the sport of boxing, and we're also going to go into UFC on Fox 1 right after this. Welcome back to Off the Mat, guys. This is Jeremy Hurt to my right, and that's John Arcuyo to my left. I'm Bernard Oliver. Guys, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing, John?
I'm just surviving the week. Rough week this week.
Getting into the UFC 138, great event. This event showed up like a lot of the events preceding it showed up this year. We were kind of going to this fight. There's not a lot of star power on this card. We didn't think, it's MMA. It's always going to produce. But we didn't think it was going to be as explosive and great that it was. I mean, it was submission, KO, back-to-back, every fight from Birmingham, England. I know those fans out there got a great rise out of the event. I heard a fan jumped over the cage and got into the ring. Guys over there in England, man, I want to go over there and party. They're kind of crazy over there. But getting into our first fight, we're going to talk about Cyril Diabate versus Anthony Parash. And wow, Parash pulls out the submission win. Not only did he win, but he submitted Cyril Diabate. And we said this fight was pretty much going to go to a KO. So, I guess we can't predict them all right.
No, Diabate came out here going with the game plan of trying to keep his distance, trying to keep it on the feet. And the two guys a little bit older, careers kind of coming towards an end. And Parash just, he went to work, got him down, was able to put him on the ground and kind of take advantage of that and use his judo to his advantage, that wrestling, and, come away with a submission win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this fight, we thought, Diabate being the kickboxer that he is, he was going to come out and he was going to strike. He really didn't land a lot of strikes with all that length that he has.
And, maybe he didn't land a lot, but it did look like he kept Parash off balance for the balance of the first part of the fight with his ability to use that length and kind of keep him at bay. But eventually, you don't want to make mistakes against a guy that can take you down and take advantage from that position, and that's exactly what happened.
I guess Parash pretty much solidifies the fact that he is still a caliber fighter in this sport. He can submit a guy who's an incredible striker and, kind of get him out of his game where he would want to be standing. Took him down. From there, it was pretty much Parash's fight. Diabate didn't really have a chance on the ground. Going into our next fight, Mr. Edom versus Eddie Falalato. Captain Falcon did not perform the way that we wanted him to. He gets submitted by guillotine here. Not only did the fight didn't last very long, he gets submitted by Mr. Edom, and the Brit comes out and just does it for the home crowd.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. I don't think that he should be allowed to be called Captain Falcon anymore, frankly. I sort of feel like maybe that was an overstatement of his ability to give him such a cool nickname. And, but this is just one of those fights, sometimes you come out and you've got the mojo and it doesn't take long, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, and as you see there, he, not faulting Falalato, but, that was a very impressive guillotine. Jumped right into it in a standing, had it fixed in. You could see that Falalato was wincing on his way down before he even got to the ground. It was an excellent move, and you just show the skill of Edom in front of the home crowd. I think that's a fantastic win for him. He's someone to watch out for. Very athletic, and you can see his skills. That's not an easy maneuver to pull off.
No, definitely not. A standing guillotine was pretty amazing to me that he locked it in. Usually people try to go for those. You don't really see them succeed a lot, but the way he locked that in on his way up, before he even had his legs wrapped around him, the guillotine was pretty much locked in, and it was pretty much over by that. Captain Falcon coming out in the blue shorts, kind of an ode to Captain Falcon. He still lost. I was just very angry with that, man. You can't be called Captain Falcon losing fights like that. But anyway, moving on to our next fight. Thiago Alves fighting Mr. Pacquiao Marquez, man. This fight was great from the start to the finish. I was very happy with Thiago Alves and the way that he came out. He didn't come out out of shape, looking like he didn't know where he had been training for the last couple of months. He came out very in shape, very explosive, very powerful, and he took it to it, Betty, man.
Well, you look at it, he had to get that little hour extension to make weight before the fight. So doing what Thiago does, but he definitely was prepared for this fight. Beatty tried to keep that distance moving around, trying to get inside of Thiago, and Thiago, he caught him. He caught up a good right hook, stunned him. Beatty, lost his balance, and then Alves just pounced. He attacked and he finished the fight, and we haven't seen Thiago do that in a long time. And look, as being a fan of Thiago, I definitely do love to see him back in his old ways, back kind of taking over fights and finishing them.
Especially with a person like Abedi, he was huge. When he came out, he looked like one of those chiseled statues back in Greek times. Like he came out, I was like, man, I was kind of worried about Alves was gonna do against him, but I'm a huge fan of Thiago. I really believe that he was kind of trying to find his way to get back into the fights, and he seems like he found it with that KO.
Yeah, and I think you got to give Abedi a lot of credit because against a guy like Thiago Alves, as you mentioned with the weight cut, Thiago Alves is a guy that comes in with a lot of bulk at that weight. He carries around a lot, and he's been doing the cutting for long enough that he knows how to do it and still maintain a lot of that stamina, a lot of that power on fight night. And Abedi came out and he stood in front of him and he threw with him. And there was a lot of different routes you could go with that. I know that he's got that superior striking, but there's a lot of routes you can go besides standing in front of Thiago Alves. He did it, and that's what you come for. That's what you come for at the end of the night.
Alves there busting off the shoulders after that magnificent submission. Excuse me, I said KO earlier. We need to get that guy from PTI who corrects things on the next show that we messed up on the show before that.
Right.
I'd love to have somebody do that. We need to get somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Reality?
Yeah, reality, yeah. We need to get somebody like that
call
off the mat. I vote that we do that. I think we should have that guy. Everybody
We can get Brett to do that, right?
Yeah.
Make him.
Not him. We're just going to get somebody like him.
Not Brett. Someone like
Moving on to our next fight. We got Brad Pickett versus Renan Barão. This fight definitely went a way that we didn't think it was going to go. Barão. Well, I'm sorry, Jeremy. Did you think it was going to go that way?
I believe Jeremy and both picked Barão.
And be careful of your usage of the word "we."
Oh, really? So now you don't want to be associated with me?
I'm just saying, unless you're French or something, there's no "we" in this particular fight. Yeah, this was a spectacular fight. These were two guys that were there to fight, and there's no question about that. They came out, they brought it, came at each other, and Pickett, boy, I mean that's just a exhibition of skills. The way that he sank in position and sank in this submission.
Yeah, a lot of submissions on this card, man. Do you think they were going for that, John?
Well, I think that Barão just he's so aggressive, and you can see here those punches. He's like a rabid dog. The guy's got so much talent. 27th win streak.
It's incredible.
Continues. Incredible. He is someone to look out for. This guy is, he's coming up on the scene, getting a big knee, stunning Pickett, then going to the ground, putting work in, takes the back, and just fantastic fashion too. So quick, able to just jump on top of Pickett, and you see that he is he's whirling here, and he is just making sure that this does not go to the car. It's definitely looks like he's trying to get knockout of the night.
Yeah, and then he just jumps on him like a spider.
Just such skill, and to have a record like that, this is this is something exactly what fans are looking for, someone else to get behind in this division.
I was very happy with the submission artists that we saw in this fight. We don't get to see a whole lot of great submissions like this. These guys, like when you look at the Pickett fight, Pickett jumped on him and got that body triangle in like that. It was one of the fastest times I've ever seen somebody jump on somebody's back and lock in something like that. Once he got that body triangle in there, it was over. And you see Barão there, you see him and he loses, and he's kind of like, man, I know that I lost that fight when he got on me. He got down. He said, that's probably what he was saying to himself, like, hey, that was dumb what I just did. And whatever. He'll come out to the next fight. We'll see him again. We'll see both of these guys again. Very pleased with the performance from both guys.
Very impressive performance.
Like Jeremy always says, it was a stylistic matchup. Moving on to the main event before we go to this commercial break, guys. Mr. Munoz versus Chris Lieben here. Fight didn't exactly go like I thought it was going to go, but Munoz did pull out the win. I don't like to call it the weakest fight because that makes it sound like it wasn't a great fight. But after submission, after submission, after submission, KO, TKO, and you get this fight that kind of drags out for a little bit before it gets to that point, I guess it kind of just slowed down a little bit for me.
Well, if you're a fan of Munoz, then it was a good fight. Mm-hmm. He displayed his skill. He took Lieben to the ground and pound to perfection. I mean, that's how he won the fight. Look at Lieben's face. He opened up a huge gash. a credit to Lieben to keep going through that. He's one of the toughest fighters MMA has ever seen. Wanting to put on a good fight, but this is how Munoz fights. He gets in a clinch, he presses you against the fence, he gets you down on the ground, and he just beats you up. And really, he textbooked his own strategy, went in and performed it, and Lieben really couldn't do much about it. Upsetting to see it end in a doctor stoppage, but still an entertaining fight. Obviously, it gets lower on the totem pole when we have all these submissions and TKOs, but still a good fight.
With the doctor stoppage, Jeremy, I really feel like Lieben was going to lose this fight anyway, just because of the way that it was starting to go. He just was getting outboxed and outfought in the fight.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think anything was going to change. Obviously, this was a 5-round fight, but we've talked about this before. There are two guys, to me, that in the world of mixed martial arts do ground and pound. They dominate from top position like nobody else, and that's Chael Sonnen and it's Mark Munoz. And these are guys that, hopefully a couple of title shots coming up for both of those guys. But Munoz, like you said, he gets you down and he just beats the crap out. I mean, it's just what he does. He is absolutely devastating whenever he's got control on top, and we saw it again. Lieben's, he's not a punk. I used to kind of view him that way. I used to think he would never be an elite fighter in this sport, but he's kind of gotten there. And you see that he had all the toughness in the world, but toughness ain't going to help you when that's happening. I mean, there's not enough tough for that, you know what I'm saying?
Man, Munoz definitely, he had the hand strength and the KO power coming into this fight. He didn't get the KO, but he did cause the stoppage, opened up a gash on his eye. That's going to do it pretty much for our review of UFC 138, guys. When we come back from the break, we're going to pay homage to one of the greatest fighters ever to step into the boxing ring, smoking Joe Frazier, right after the commercial break. We've prepared a special package for you guys. We're going to pay a little homage to Joe Frazier, who passed away on Monday night from liver cancer. One of the greatest guys to ever do it. After we play a little tribute package for you, we're going to come back and we'll talk, what did Joe Frazier mean to us as boxing fans?
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom, explosion, overpowering over the competition. I'm towering, wreck is shot when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that are all.
He was 29-0 before he lost his first fight. 24 of those 29 wins were KOs. His career ended with 32 wins and only 4 losses. Smoking Joe Frazier's name echoes in the wake of the word boxing. From the time he took gold in Tokyo until his last fight in the ring, Frazier personified honor and dignity in the gentleman's sport. He had the most prolific rivalry in the sport with the one called the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Their first fight was rightfully dubbed the fight of the century, and the end of their chapter, their third and final match, the Thriller in Manila. Though Frazier lost his last 2 fights with Ali, the series is still today seen as one of boxing's greatest wars.
That one hurt. So did that. And Muhammad Ali staggered. Muhammad Ali was dropped. He's holding on desperately.
Frazier is regarded as one of the 3 greatest boxers in the 60s, 70s, and today. The other 2, Ali, and the one he could never beat, George Foreman, could be looked at as his only equals.
Foreman apparently. Frazier's in real trouble here.
When he was a child, an uncle said he's going to be another Joe Louis. His classmates would pay him in sandwiches and quarters to keep the bullies away. But there was one bully even Smoking Joe couldn't protect himself from. Monday, November 7th, 2011, Joseph William Frazier passed away from liver cancer.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
The world lost a great champion. I will always remember Joe with respect and admiration. That's what Ali Frazier's greatest rival had to say upon hearing his rival pass away, that hearing his rival had passed away. Just a great show of character there. Those guys fought it out for so long, hated each other outside the ring, seriously hated each other, and they kind of just squashed their beef in the last couple of years. And it's good to see two guys lead the way like that for young people in the world. And, you know, hey, we don't need to be fighting like this. We're both people. We don't need to be fighting. What can you say about Smoking Joe, man? One of the greatest fighters that ever stepped in that ring.
I mean, that's what you can say about Smoking Joe. He's one of the greatest fighters that ever stepped in the ring. Everyone remembers that he fought Ali 3 times, and he lost a couple of those. What people don't necessarily remember is the third fight, seconds before the corner threw in the towel for Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali said, "Cut my gloves off, I'm done." I mean, it was that caliber. It was the greatest rivalry perhaps in all of American sports history. Joe Frazier was the common man that went out in the ring and became a champion. I got nothing but respect for him. True champion, rest in peace.
Joe Frazier, he taught a lot of kids at his gym up in Philadelphia, man. He really led a lot of kids to have something to do, gave them something to do, instead of going out there and being bad kids and being on the streets. And one of the things he said in an interview was, they asked him, what would you have to say to the children, of the world who are doing these bad things and being thugs and being gangsters? And he said, it starts with mama and daddy. Mama and daddy have to raise these kids right. And after that, if you raise a kid right, there's nothing they can do but be right. Don't go out there trying to be like everybody else. Be like your mom and dad raised you.
Absolutely. A man that set a good example. When you're in the ring, he was a warrior. Everyone sees his career as a blue-collar American fighter, someone who wasn't all flash, he wasn't all talk, but he went and he worked his hardest, came up through the ranks. Gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist in '64. Kind of wrote the book for short fighters in a heavyweight division where reach is everything and size is everything. A little 5'11" guy just trucking forward, and making all of his opponents back up until that left hook connected. Just a fantastic fighter, a great human being, and one of the premier fighters in boxing history. I think that boxing has definitely lost a legend, and it is a sad day, but now his legacy will live on forever.
Yeah, man. Can't say much more about Joe Frazier. Can't say enough for this guy. He taught his daughter how to fight, who had her own war with Layla Ali, kind of called it Ali Frazier 4. That was a great fight, too. She ended up losing, but, Layla Ali is Layla Ali, and she is one of the greatest fighters to ever do it. She didn't lose by a lot. Actually, Joe Frazier's daughter I believe she was 13-1, I believe, and went on to be a lawyer. Now she's on a bench somewhere being a judge. So, she definitely got raised right by Mr. Frazier, man. Can't say anything more about Joe Frazier, man. There's no words to describe what he's done to the sport. I know all three of us have been in fighting at some time or another, and Joe Frazier has been somebody that we looked up to. Truly rest in peace to Joe Frazier, and we thank you for everything you did for every fighters and the sport everywhere. There'll be a 10 count for Joe Frazier this weekend at the Pacquiao Marquez III fight. And off that, we're going to go right into talking about Pacquiao and Marquez here. This is the third time that they'll meet. I believe Marquez has lost one, and then one has gone to a draw. So he gets a third chance here to see if he can beat Pacquiao. I mean, where do you think this fight's going to go, John?
Well, it's just another one of these fights they're putting together since they can't get the fight everybody wants. Marquez, this will be their third meeting, 1 draw, 1 victory for Pacquiao. Marquez, a very good fighter. He has kind of been overshadowed by the greatness that is Pacquiao. 53 wins, only 5 losses. Definitely older in his career. Unfortunately, he's going to end going against the best competition, which is Pacquiao, and that's just a tough bullet to bite when you want that payday. I think he has a good chance. He's a good fighter, good power, quick, but I just don't think he's quick enough for Pacquiao. This is, possibly one of the best fighters that we've ever seen. Able to move up through classes. Pacquiao, I think he's just a little bit too much for Marquez.
having a little trouble with these new chairs up here, man. They're a little weird to get used to, but we do want to give a little shout out in the middle of this fight to Robin Ledbetter. She bought new chairs up here. It's great to finally have 3 uniform chairs up here. We don't have to adjust the levels and all that. Sorry about that, guys. But Jeremy,
Yes.
Marquez, being 38 years old, man, and he's not an MMA fighter. He's a boxer. Age is a little bit different in boxing. He's kind of getting up there in years. 38 is probably about the time to start calling it quits. Just do you really see him doing well against Pacquiao? And Pacquiao being where he is right now, 32, 6 years he's younger.
I think the question's the same with what you pretty much always see with Marquez is, will he be able to keep it close in those early rounds? Will he be able to stay alive in those early rounds? And if he does, I think he does have a chance. I think that he could perhaps find a groove and finish strong against Pacquiao. One thing you have to consider is these guys have fought each other for 24 rounds so far. And I mean 24 rounds of fighting. So you got to consider at this point, they've got tape on each other. They've got a feel for each other. There are perhaps aspects that will come into play in this fight that we can't even go into because there are things maybe Marquez knows, this is what I did wrong before. Mm-hmm. That's where I made a mistake. I think he's got a chance. I really do. Far from me to be the contrarian. I don't think this is a walkover fight. He didn't look real good against Mayweather, but this isn't Mayweather. Again, I think he needs to sort of weather those early rounds, keep his composure, stay in the pocket, and hope that he can sort of turn the tide as the fight goes along.
I like the point you bring up. He might know something that us watching do not know because we don't sit in the ring and fight Pacquiao. This is a great trilogy, just like the trilogy we just got to talk about, Ali and Frazier. That trilogy is not regarded as the greatest trilogy in boxing for a reason. It's regarded that way because every fight was a battle. There was no really definitive loser except, that first time that Frazier beat Ali. And he pretty much lost that fight. I think that was the one he broke his jaw in. Frazier, Ali, 2 people don't really look at a lot, but that was another close one. And then you got the last one, the Thriller in Manila, which is, they were fighting outside, sweltering heat. And, like you said, 5 seconds before that, Ali said, cut my gloves off, and Frazier's corner threw in the towel.
It's truly one of the greatest moments in the history of American sports. That's what that is.
And so you see this coming along. People that have fought 3 times or going on their 3rd time, it's gonna be a battle. I don't have Marquez at all. I don't think he's gonna win. Pacquiao is just on another level, just like Mayweather. He's just on another level right now. I don't think he's gonna win, but I do think it's gonna be a battle. Let's get your picks before we go to the commercial break. John, who you got?
I think it's hands down Pacquiao.
Jeremy, who you got?
I'm going Marquez. You know what? This is what I do.
Really?
I look for the ones that nobody else sees coming. Nobody else sees it coming. I think Manny Pacquiao is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and it's not all that close. I like Marquez. I think he's going to figure him out in fight number 3.
Wow, Jeremy, going against the grain there.
Win, huh?
Going for that. If you got some money on it and he wins,
I go yard. That's what
I want
do.
a smooth million. Is all I'm gonna say. That's all I want. That's all I ask for. We're gonna go to a commercial break here, guys. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the most monumental UFC in the sport. When we come back from the commercial break.
I turn my camera on. I cut my fingers on.
UATV, celebrating 15 years of service.
Welcome back to Off the Mat, guys. I'm Bernard Oliver. That's Jeremy Hurt, and that is John Urcuyo. We are up here rocking it as usual, giving you everything you need to know: MMA, boxing, combat sports. Going into the most monumental UFC to ever grace the sport. UFC on Fox 1 happens this weekend. Now, I have a couple of problems with this already. Had a couple of problems for a couple months. We're going to tackle those first. I'm just going to get right into it. What is Fox doing with this UFC event? You got one fight in an hour-long special. You got Joe Rogan reading off a prompter when he is the man of live TV. Let him do what he does on here. Wrong camera angles, putting the camera on Frankie Edgar when you're talking about GSP, putting the camera on GSP when you're talking about Frankie Edgar. I don't have a good feeling about it. I really don't have. I wish they would give Zuffa and Dana White and UFC, the Fertitta brothers, everybody else who usually manages this stuff, I really wish they would let them handle it like they usually do, because I'm not feeling what Fox is doing right now.
Well, it seems like Fox is trying to take control of this and do it, take their their blueprint for football, for baseball, and kind of put that towards what they're going to do with this event. And that's just not how it goes. It's not how it works well. It's not how it flows well. Unfortunately, there are some things that could have been done better. Joe Rogan, we know that he's an ad-libber. He's not a read-off set guy. These promos, the way that they're doing the one fight I can kind of understand with them taking a chance on this UFC event. They want the best fight. They don't want a chance. A fight coming out being a little bit more slow-paced, being some kind of a ground war that fans aren't, the casual fan isn't going to enjoy, might change that channel before the Kane fight. So I think that a 1 hour special, promote, kind of build up that anticipation, and then you show pretty much what could be the fight of the year. They're taking less chances, but I think that it's still a great move by Fox. Jumping onto this train, UFC is taking off. Sky's the limit, and to have this be the first fight that's on national TV, I think that is a home run. Especially, this is just going to be fireworks. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes, and don't take that the wrong way. We're not taking a stab at Joe Rogan. That would be like off the mat going off of a prompter, like the whole time we're on the show, and not up here talking fights live. You know what I mean? So it's not a stab at Joe. It's not a stab at Fox. It's different. People don't like change when it first comes along. So it's just a little bit different. Going into that, all the fights preceding Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos are on Facebook. Not a big fan of that either, but they're trying to drive traffic on the internet. I'm not really a big fan of that.
Yeah, and it should be noted that they're on Facebook and they're also on FoxSports.com if you don't have a Facebook, like some people that don't have one. But
still trying to get John on there. I don't really know what he's doing there, but we'll get him on there one day.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit. It's been rough. There have been really bad angles so far in the execution of how they're doing this. But this is a new thing. It's two worlds coming together. It's network television and the fight where guys, or the sport where guys fight in a cage. There's going to, any marriage, there's going to be a couple of burnt meals early on, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Eventually, they're going to get together, and I couldn't disagree. I think once Fox has everything going a certain way, it's going to be exceptional. If you saw the where they follow the fighters, the prime time. If you saw Fox's production, I thought it looked spectacular. One thing I will absolutely agree with you, what John said earlier. I don't know that they could have picked a better fight for this. I'd like to see two fights. You got an hour. I really think you put Guida Henderson on there because that's such an awesome fight. But if you're going to pick one fight, and you got one fight to introduce the rest of the world to mixed martial arts, you have two top elite fighters in the classification that everybody wants to see, two 250-pound guys swinging at each other. Both of them mean a lot outside of the sport. Cain Velasquez with Mexican youth, Junior Dos Santos back home in Brazil. There's just so many angles that come into this. I think it's a spectacular fight. Joe Silva, me and Brett talked about this before the show. You can't say enough good things about Joe Silva, the matchmaker for Zuffa in the UFC. He just consistently does this. He consistently puts the right fights in the right places. Could not have been a better fight for this event.
Yeah, and they deal with what they get. Fox is a corporation, and they need to look out for their interests. Maybe it's a bit better than CBS and Elite XC prime time that went on. We talked about that in our online predictions, which you can go check out whenever you feel like. They'll be up after the show airs. It'll be up on uatvonline.net. Probably gonna throw them up on my website, throw them up on Facebook, throw them up on Off the Mat. .tv, the Jeremy's heading up, throw them on John's Twitter. We're going to throw them everywhere. So if you need to look at them, just contact one of us. Like I say every week, we are always on Facebook. We're always on Twitter. At Jeremy Hurt, 2 T's, at Bernard_Oliver, at John Arcuyo. We'll have that graphic up. John's last name is a little difficult to spell. We'll have that graphic up for you guys. Facebook.com/OffTheMatTV. Get at us. We're always on there. Somebody's always talking. Brett's on there. I'm on there. Martha, Keith, everybody that's back there behind the scenes, you guys don't get to see every week. They're all on Facebook. They're all.
We try
admins.
to keep Keith off of there.
Kind of going into this main event, we don't have a lot of time, guys. We really want to talk Ben Harrison, Clay Guida, but we only have 30 minutes here. Very quickly, who you got? Clay Guida, and Ben Henderson.
Got to go with Ben Henderson. My heart says Clay Guida. My head says how does Clay? I don't see any way Clay Guida wins if I don't know which avenue he takes. It's got to be Ben Henderson.
Ben Henderson is so explosive and so just thunderous with the kicks and punches that he throws, and he's a great wrestler on the ground too, which kind of nullifies Clay Guida's wrestling on the ground. John, where do you think this fight's gonna go?
No, I gotta agree with Jeremy. I think that Clay Guida, fantastic career, excellent fighter, always exciting fights. Guy's got more blood in his body than probably anybody alive, and lost most of it. But you look at Henderson. He's a black belt, taekwondo, brown belt, judo. Jiu-jitsu, and he's a Division I wrestler. The guy has got tools upon tools. He's so talented, so quick. I think he's going to wrap this one up.
That's our first unanimous vote on the show, I guess. Ben Henderson for me too. Like I said, he's thunderous, explosive, very good wrestler. He's younger. I really don't see Clay Guida coming out beating Ben Henderson, but anything's possible. Clay Guida is a magnificent fighter. Don't sleep on him either. I'm going to take Ben Henderson in that. Getting into our main event. Now, this is the fight that we all want to talk about. Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos. My goodness. This fight, these are the two best heavyweights in MMA right now. These, hands down, nobody else is touching these guys. Here's everybody else. Here's JDS and Cain Velasquez. No, there's no other way to put that.
I agree with you 100%. This is one of those fights. I mean, you look at it, Cain Velasquez is such a solid wrestler, but really, since he's joined the UFC, since he's been in MMA, he's rounded his game out so thoroughly. He's become so good at everything. He's such a perfectionist. He sees every weak spot in his own game. Junior Dos Santos, he's hard to take down, hard to keep down. Probably the best boxing in that division today. I think you could make a pretty good case. Man, it's tough. It's real tough.
John?
I think this, just like Jeremy said, this is why this fight is so amazing. It's so, the anticipation just rising and rising. And Fox, jump real quick, they did a great job of starting that promotion when football season started, building this up. These are two just unbelievable athletes. Dos Santos has just unbelievable accuracy. He has power behind those punches. He's quick. He's been training with the Team Nogueira. His wrestling's been stepping up. But then you look at Cain. This is a guy who just goes out 8 knockouts out of 9. He can get on the ground. He can wrestle you. He can take advantage of that top. He's got a huge head, which, I just think he can take a punch. We've seen him get rattled several times, be able to clinch up, take advantage of that, rest, and then take advantage of the fight, take it over against Congo. The guy has fought top athletes. I would have to say Dos Santos probably a little bit more of an impressive record of who he has fought. But if you look at it, I think both of these fighters are, like Jeremy said, the top 2 in the weight class. I think they came together at the most perfect time to put it on Fox because, like you said, heavyweight is what everybody in America wants to see.
And that's I'm kind of going to take a jab here at boxing. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Deepak Nahar. He's probably going to be on the show in the next couple of weeks. He's a great boxing analyst, very huge fan of boxing. Actually helped write the Boxing Register. It's a huge stat book. But I was talking to him about boxing, man. When you look at, I'm sitting here putting Frazier's highlights together. You haven't seen a heavyweight fight that way since that time, and I wasn't born yet, so I've only seen video of that. I didn't get to grow up with a heavyweight. You got Mike Tyson, but yeah, you got Mike Tyson. You kind of got Holyfield in there, and you got Lennox Lewis, but you don't have those people anymore. That was when I was a child, and you haven't seen anybody like that since those guys got out of the sport. With this fight, you see heavyweights coming in, and you see them performing the way that heavyweights need to perform. This fight is going to blow people's minds. Who you got in this fight, Jeremy?
Man, I've been going back and forth. I was trying to figure out the best way to keep y'all from knowing what I was going to say, so you wouldn't but then I got to go first. Man, it's hard. When you break down what each guy does, they kind of complement each other. At the end of the day, I look at it and I just feel like Cain Velasquez is the best heavyweight walking the face of planet Earth today. I think his game is just too rounded. I think his wrestling's far superior, obviously, to what Junior Dos Santos is bringing in. The question is, can he avoid those punches? If he gets caught like he got caught against Congo, it's a tough night. I think he can. I think he'll use his athleticism. I think he'll use that training, one of the best gyms in the world there at AKA. I really feel like he's every time you see Cain Velasquez, he's a little better Cain Velasquez. I think we'll see that again. Love Junior Dos Santos, second best heavyweight in the world, not first. I'll go with Cain.
John, who you got very quickly?
Man, I have unfortunately got to agree. Cain Velasquez. I have gone against champions defending their belt lately, and I will not do it with him. I think he is motivated more than he has ever been in his life. Junior Dos Santos, best boxer at the heavyweight division, but I just think with Cain's ability to take a punch and deliver it right back, I think he's going to kind of control this fight. And I think it's going to go his way, and he's going to keep that belt around his waist.
I'm actually going to drive the crevice right down the middle of the Grand Canyon right here. I am going to take Junior Dos Santos because I love my boxers. If you watch this show, you know I love my boxers. A sound boxer should not be defeated in a fight where styles match up like this. You have a wrestler who has great hands too, but I don't think his hands match up to Junior Dos Santos. I think his wrestling highly outclasses Junior Dos Santos on the ground, but is it going to get to the ground? When you see Junior Dos Santos fight Shane Carwin, I was amazed. I didn't know that JDS's hands were that great. I just didn't know. I mean, I knew he was very good, but when you saw him fight Carwin, Carwin's a great stand-up guy. Really crisp punches, really strong inside with those short uppercuts that he had, and he just got embarrassed by JDS. I have to go with Junior Dos Santos on this fight just because, you saw Congo and he kind of dropped him. If that happens in this fight, Cain's not getting back up. So that's who I'm going to pick. That's pretty much going to do it for us this week on Off the Mat, guys. Great show, guys. Once again, rest in peace to Joe Frazier. One of the reasons I love boxers so much in the sport. For Jeremy Hurt and John Arcuyo, I'm Bernard Oliver. This has been Off the Mat, guys. Check us out online. And until next time, we'll see you at the fights.